I was told my VP position was cut, then forced to interview for the job I already had. I quit and became a sixth-grade teacher instead. At the conclusion of this academic year, an interesting situation arose. I shared my experiences in the R teacher group, and multiple individuals there suggested I recount the events here. This narrative is divided into 4 sections, and I regret the extended length. I also apologize in advance for any educator jargon, as it naturally flows for me similar to military terms did during my service. Essentially, I learned that all assistant and vice principals in the district, excluding those at the high school, would not have their contracts renewed. Instead, a teacher on assignment role would replace us. While I was not devastated by this news, the treatment I received from the new administration, who took over my position and that of my principal, was disappointing. I did attempt to assist my colleagues during my departure, but it became evident that management was more concerned with their image than the welfare of the staff. Here is my account. Part 1. None of the other administrators in my district had received contracts for the upcoming school year as of yet. Although I was curious about the situation, I heard rumors suggesting a shift in the pay scale might be the cause. On Wednesday, I discovered the actual scenario. Every assistant principal and vice principal in the district except for those at the high school would not receive renewed contracts. Their positions were being eliminated, and those roles would be substituted with a new position paying a teacher's salary plus a $2,000 stipend. They are introducing learning coordinators to take the place of assistant principals. The budget was cited as the primary reason for this change, although I also heard additional rumors from an individual at the district office. All assistant principals and vice principals were scheduled to meet with an assistant superintendent that Wednesday, and we suspected it was regarding our contracts, which turned out to be accurate. Upon arrival, I found the acting superintendent there along with the head of human resources. I was informed about the removal of my role, but not why it was happening. I was then presented with options for the next school year. I could return to the classroom, work at the district office, or apply and interview for the position replacing my current one. To be honest, I wouldn't have cared much if they had simply told me that my position had been entirely cut and that I would need to return to teaching. I love being in the classroom and miss teaching full-time. However, being told to apply and interview for a job I already held is quite frustrating. We were instructed to provide our decisions to the district by Friday, after which they would prepare contracts or schedule interviews. Later that Wednesday afternoon, I visited Tony, one of the assistant superintendents and one of the few truly commendable leaders in the district. He informed me about an internal upheaval, but was not permitted to elaborate or provide any specifics. However, I learned that one of the assistant superintendents was being reassigned, which I interpreted as a demotion to become principal of my current school. Additionally, my principal would not be returning due to health issues. The superintendent was released from his contract, and the new learning coordinator role at my school had already been filled. Who took that position? A counselor from one of the high schools who just so happens to be a friend and ally of the assistant superintendent, now assuming the principal role. This morning, I provided them with my choice. I decided I didn't need until Friday to make a decision. I aimed to sound professional, but I made sure my message was delivered with authority. I entered the acting superintendent's office and expressed that I found it unacceptable to lay off many individuals only to replace them with others performing the same job for a lower salary. I critiqued how the district handled specific situations, offering several examples. I also conveyed my belief that they were on the verge of ruining a perfectly functioning school with an extraordinary team of educators by appointing a lazy, mean-spirited individual as the new principal, allowing her to install a subordinate as her second in command. I described her as ineffective and extremely unpleasant. I concluded my 3-minute speech by stating that I would work diligently to finish the school year strong, preparing for the next academic year to assist the teachers. I also affirmed that I would never work in or endorse the district to anyone ever again. I left the meeting expecting an exceptional letter of recommendation by the close of the school day on Friday afternoon, which I felt I had earned through my years of service. So, what is my next step? On Wednesday, I reached out to an old friend who currently serves as principal at a STEAM charter school, part of a network of such schools. I inquired about possible teaching openings. He has been trying to recruit me for 5 years now. He informed me that he had 3 available positions, and I could choose whichever one I desired. Therefore, next year, I will be a 6th grade teacher. I am thrilled about this opportunity and even get to design my curriculum as long as it aligns with state standards. I could pursue administrative positions elsewhere, but I believe I need a break from that leadership role. I want to rekindle my love for teaching, which I had in the past. Yes, there have been, and still are, numerous challenges, and at times I dreaded going to work, but teaching is a profession I genuinely enjoy. I feel sympathy for my current staff, knowing that the upcoming leadership change will heavily impact them, but there is little I can do at this point. While the option of accepting a teaching position at my current school exists, it would only serve to make me miserable and ineffective in supporting them. For both myself and my daughter, whom I cherish more than anything, I'm moving to a new school and returning to what I love teaching. I will even be bringing my daughter to my new school to start as a 5th grader next year. I asked her whether she wanted to remain at her current school or join me at the STEAM school, and she expressed excitement about coming with me. She was thrilled, having visited several times and fallen in love with the technology room, robotics class, and science labs. Additionally, she already has friends at the new school. As a farewell gesture to my current staff, I plan to purchase some nice letter paper and scratch off tickets this weekend. I will write brief, personalized messages to each staff member and conclude with the following words. I'm giving you some scratch-off tickets. My hope is that you have as much luck scratching them as I have had in working with you. That's all for now. Although I need to complete my contract, I will be free at the end of June. I look forward to teaching full-time again and having a supervisor who will allow me to do my job without interference. While I might not want to return to administration right away, I may consider taking on an assistant principal role again in the future after some time. Note I apologize for any spelling, grammar, or punctuation errors. I am writing while making my morning rounds. Part 2. I have put together farewell gifts for all my staff, which I will distribute on Friday, their last day with students. These gifts contain various goodies that I mentioned weeks ago. Over the weekend, I pondered how to give the district office a subtle rebuke while also assisting my teachers, even in a minor way. I formulated my plan on Sunday night. My district mandates that every teacher complete additional training sessions throughout the year, separate from the regular staff development workshops. These sessions are facilitated by district personnel, special education instructors, and administrators. The training typically lasts 1-3 hours, and participants receive a certificate acknowledging the time spent. Each teacher must accumulate 24 hours of these sessions by the end of the academic year. Most teachers choose to attend them during the summer, if available, to avoid them during the school year. Yesterday morning, before work, I began copying certificates for all the training courses I have conducted over the past few years, including classroom management strategies, lockdown procedures, social studies strategies, math strategies, reading comprehension, and environmental print. I will personalize each certificate with the respective teacher's name and indicate the number of hours completed. I am accounting for all the times I spoke to the staff about these topics and correlating the hours, rounding up to the nearest hour when necessary. Wouldn't you know, each of those topics was between 3 to 5 hours in duration. Every staff member will exactly receive 24 hours of training. I filled in the training dates for the 2022-2023 academic year. Oh, and I have attendance sheets with all their names marked as present. Note I verified with the district that, since I am still an administrator during the summer, I am permitted to facilitate these training sessions before my departure. Now, the teachers can enjoy their summer without the burden of attending classes during the school year. They can still choose to attend if they wish, but 99% of the teachers here dislike the mandatory training hours. I hope the staff appreciates the gesture. Part 3. Since Friday, I am no longer an administrator. Technically, I have one more week of work, but I opted to take vacation during this period because, well, forget them. During the last week, I spent my time packing, supporting my, now former staff, and causing a bit of disruption for the new administration, whom I consider unreasonable. Initially, besides granting the entire staff a year free from additional professional development requirements, I intended to exit quietly and ride off into the sunset, Shane's style. However, I seemingly did not deserve a quiet conclusion. The new principal, demoted from assistant superintendent, and her newly assigned teacher decided to be inconsiderate towards me. Naturally, I felt compelled to misbehave in response. How were they disrespectful to me, you may wonder? First, they insisted that I quicken the pace in emptying my office. Evidently, the teacher on assignment intended to commence redecorating my workspace. I was bluntly told, "Get all your personal belongings out of here immediately. She wants her office now." I still had a week remaining to do my job and tasks to complete. Second, the new principal attempted to appropriate my personal chair as well as my personal office supplies and decorations. That chair was a gift from a friend. I encountered her in the act of wheeling it out of my office into hers, with my desk supplies and a banner from my wall stacked on the seat. I informed her that it was my chair, not district property. She acknowledged this, but the following morning, it was missing. She had moved it into her office after I had left for the day. Third, the teacher on assignment provided me with a list of tasks to complete by Friday, despite her having no authority over me. These responsibilities were not mine to fulfill. They were the duties of incoming administrators. I was presented with items such as putting together new staff packets, scheduling professional developments for the next year, and completing request forms. Lastly, I endured condescending treatment from the new administration daily. They spoke to me as if I were employed help and they were royalty. Honestly, I interact more respectfully with a waitress who messes up my order than they treated me. They actually attempted to capture my attention by snapping their fingers, as if that would be effective. Note the new principal has also made some quite anti-LGBTQ+ comments. I find it troubling to associate with narrow-minded individuals, so I resolved to follow their orders as told. Having been a soldier, I know how to comply with commands. 1. I removed every article of my personal property, which included my chairs, decorations, stress relievers like a punching bag, the office refrigerator, and the filing cabinets in my office. Yes, I had purchased government surplus cabinets because I didn't have any. All my files along with those of the former principal were stored in those cabinets. I even bought the manila folders I used. I extracted every piece of paper from my cabinets, removed them from their labeled folders, and created one large disorganized pile on the floor. I claimed my chair from the principal's office while she was in a meeting with parents. I simply walked in and rolled it out. She paused in her discussion to inquire about my actions, to which I responded I was retrieving my personal property as instructed. I had an old medium-sized refrigerator I had placed in the office work area for staff use. However, it belongs to me, so I took it. I transported it right out the front door and loaded it into my truck, removing the new administrator's food from it and leaving it on the table. It was my fridge, and while I informed the rest of the office staff, I neglected to tell the administration. Oops. 2. I made digital copies of all my files onto a flash drive before deleting everything from my work Google Drive, which included anything I personally created or designed. 3. I copied all my emails as well. 4. I informed the staff that if they required time off in the upcoming year that required approval, they should submit the forms to me this week. I received several requests, and they have all been approved. This idea came from a suggestion I received through a message on Reddit. Thanks for the tip. 5. I approved every supply list item that staff submitted and even traveled to the district warehouse to personally collect some items. I even sanctioned funds for a used kiln for the art teacher, as she discovered a great one on Craigslist. 6. I had repaired my desk using bolts and tools from home, and I reverted the desk to its initial lopsided state by reclaiming the bolts. The closet door had been broken when I took the position, and I've now restored it to how it was upon my arrival. 7. The two-way mirror facing the detention room was mine. I secured it from a friend at another school in a different district. It allowed me to monitor ISS and detention students from my office without them being aware. I simply popped it out and took it home. This leaves the new teacher on assignment with a hole in the wall that detention students can now see through. 8. I had assembled all the lockdown buckets and fire drill bags at my own expense and took them back. Although this decision weighed on my conscience, I plan to distribute these supplies to the staff at my new school. 9. I submitted a rush order for repairs throughout the classrooms and have an approved order for a complete repainting of the building. 10. I organized new staff packets and binders for the upcoming school year. Besides the necessary basics, I have included randomly throughout the binders Dilbert cartoons, famous quotes from Harry Potter, the lyrics to How You Remind Me by Nickelback, I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry, All Star by Smash Mouth, and We Built This City by Starship, a map of the local area featuring excellent places to grab lunch off campus, humorous Farside teacher comics, cheesy teacher jokes, contact information for the union, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, and Word searches, a compilation of educational lawyers. Just in case, I also included the admin Wi-Fi password since that signal is inexplicably stronger. 11. I drafted the professional development schedule for the next year. Oddly, every Wednesday is labeled as free time or work in your classroom. I anticipate they will modify this, but I'm unsure when they will discover its contents. 12. I maintained a master list of community donors and partners posted on a whiteboard in my office. Over the years, I gathered support from over 4 dozen local businesses and individuals for various initiatives and donations. I invested considerable time nurturing those relationships and negotiating partnerships. I took a photo of this list prior to erasing it. I also claimed the whiteboard since it rightfully belonged to me. 13. On Friday, I raised the LGBTQ+ flag rather than the state flag and placed LGBTQ+ flags in each classroom in case staff members wished to display them. After all this, I received 3 reprimands. The first instance occurred when I retrieved my chair. They chastised me for it being unprofessional to take my belongings without asking, especially with guests present. I retorted, yes, it was unprofessional for someone to take my chair without permission. The second reprimand was when the teacher on assignment discovered the refrigerator was missing. She claimed that it was communal property, to which I replied, no, it is my property, and I was directed to remove all of my belongings from the campus. The third reprimand came when I was leaving the parking lot and they noticed the paper piles. The principal flagged me down, instructing me to clean up. I informed her that I was off the clock and that the district had never reimbursed me for the cabinets I had acquired, so I had to take them with me. I anticipate receiving a call from Human Resources today requesting my assistance in re-establishing everything, now that my belongings are gone and erased. The new administration will have to put in hard work for a change. As for my involvement, I'm offering my consulting rate of $75.00 per hour, with a minimum contract of 12 hours. Part 4, as many of you are aware, I recently departed from my role as an administrator. I aim to leave behind some thoughtful gestures upon my exit. Although I wasn't trying to create issues during my final weeks, the new administrative team treated me in an entirely unacceptable manner. Thus, I decided to follow Malcolm Reynolds' adage, I aim to misbehave. On the Tuesday following my exit, I received a call from Human Resources, which I ignored. Afterwards, I took a road trip with my daughter, visiting San Francisco for a few days and attending 2 Giants games. Unfortunately, they lost both matches. While we were away, they continued to contact me and emailed my personal account, as they had deleted my work email. I ignored their persistent messages. Following our trip, we spent a few days of fun at Disneyland and returned this past Friday. Upon checking the voicemails and emails, I found numerous requests urging me to visit HR for crucial meetings with the repeated message, "It is extremely important that we speak to you as soon as possible." Yesterday, I finally went to the district office sporting cargo shorts, a Disneyland shirt, and flip-flops. Since I am no longer an employee, I saw no reason to dress formally. Upon arrival, I was initially treated like a VIP guest. The HR manager and her assistant tried to flatter me excessively. After some initial small talk and my informing them of my lunch plans in 30 minutes, they got straight to the matter. They requested that I return a few items I had taken that, despite being mine, they claimed were urgently needed at the school. The list provided by the new principal included requests for my chair. Seriously. My refrigerator and appliances, my community contacts board, the individuals and businesses with whom I had built relationships and partnerships, my customized forms, and worksheets, the two-way mirror, my lockdown buckets and fire drill bags. They also demanded copies of all records and notes I maintained about staff and students. The notes I took concerning the staff were purely to personalize gifts and engage them in conversations about their interests. I unequivocally refused all their requests. I stated that the furniture and appliances belonged to me and that I had brought them to the school. I emphasized that my chair was a gift from a friend and that the new principal could purchase her own if necessary. Furthermore, I clarified that I had left all official school or district documents at the school and that any material I took or deleted was solely my creative work and therefore my intellectual property. I conveyed that my community contacts were cultivated over years of personal investment and time. Also, I mentioned that I had never received reimbursement for any of the items I purchased. The HR team once again attempted to persuade me and argued that some items could potentially be considered school property. I responded that they were welcome to pursue legal measures to reclaim anything lawfully mine, but I would be inclined to contest any such actions in court. Additionally, I voiced my discomfort with the two new administrators, stating that their treatment could be perceived as creating a hostile work environment, especially since they had tried to foist their responsibilities onto me. I subsequently provided the HR team with my lawyer's contact information. Note: after my divorce, I dated a lawyer for a few years, and we have remained good friends. She has graciously offered herself as my forever retained lawyer, and has provided invaluable assistance whenever I've needed legal advice, always coming through for me. In return, I help her with physical tasks whenever she or her family require assistance. I concluded by wishing the HR staff a successful school year ahead and exited the office, fully expecting I may never hear from them again. Note: update posted https www.reddit.com r teachers comments w9 up and 6 update Karens with power are as dangerous as they https www.reddit.com r teachers comments w9 up and 6 update Karens with power are as dangerous as they.